Is this deal going to go through?
Well, I hope so, because it is in the national interest to get improvements upon the Northern Ireland Protocol to make it easier for goods to move freely between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That's clearly in the interests of the people in Northern Ireland, and also for businesses who are really struggling at the moment in terms of trade.
How much do you know about it?
We haven't seen the detail of the deal, but, you know, I know that often I come into this programme and tell you that I'm going to oppose what the government's going to do, how we object to some part of it. This is just too important for that. The Good Friday Agreement was negotiated and agreed 25 years ago. I think it is one of the proudest achievements of any political party in the second half of the 20th century. And improvements to the Northern Ireland Protocol will help preserve the peace that was hard won on the island of Ireland. And we're not going to do anything to jeopardise that. And we will look to support what the Prime Minister brings back.
Is there any circumstances where Labour would not support this?
Look, if it improves trade and improves the movements of goods and services across the Irish Sea, if it has the support of the UK government and the European Union, if it preserves on the island of Ireland the no cameras, the no checkpoints, then we will support it, and we have reason to believe, our understanding does all those things.
So, but there will be a soft border in the Irish Sea?
Well, I think it improves upon where we are now. At the moment, you don't have the red and the green lane. And, you know, the red lane is for stuff that is going to move into the single market. But most stuff that moves from Great Britain into Northern Ireland isn't destined for the single market. It's destined for the supermarket shelves and for other businesses within Northern Ireland. And so, look, we welcome the fact that this deal looks to simplify the movements of goods across the Irish Sea.
The ERG, of course, the European Research Group, which are, you know, right-wing backbenchers as part of the Conservative Party, may well decide that this is not a deal that they want to support because the DUP, the Democratic Unionist Party, do not like it. It looks as though potentially Labour could get it over the line for the government.
Well, look, we've said that the Prime Minister shouldn't worry about the malcontents on his own backbenchers, and we will ensure that he has the votes to get this through. But I don't want to jump the gun. We haven't seen this deal. We don't know how the DUP and others in the Conservative Party are going to respond. The best thing would be to have cross-party support from right across the political spectrum for this deal, and I hope that the Prime Minister can secure that.
Yeah. Do you think there should be or will be a vote in the House of Commons?
I think there will be, and I think there should be as well.
Doesn't have to be, does there?
I don't think there has to be, but I think that it would make sense to give legitimacy to something that the Prime Minister can say, this has won a majority, and I believe that he will win a big majority for it because Labour is lending our votes on this occasion to the government.
What difference does it make to the people of Great Britain if this deal does or doesn't go ahead?
Well, we are all part of the United Kingdom, and the citizens of Northern Ireland are citizens of the whole United Kingdom.
Yeah, but they're not part of Great Britain, which is why I made the specific point.
Yeah. Well, look, what happens to people in different parts of the country matters to me because I'm a citizen of the United Kingdom and I care about people wherever they live in the UK. But also we've got loads of businesses, fantastic businesses in Great Britain who do an awful lot of trade in Northern Ireland. And also we benefit from things that are produced in Northern Ireland that come into the rest of the UK. So this is good for the whole of the United Kingdom if we can make the improvements that the government have been trying to secure.
Everyone's terribly excited today. We've been here before, though, haven't we?
Oh, we've been round and round in circles for years, Kaya. I mean, I bet you've lost count of the number of times you've spoken about the Northern Ireland Protocol. And look, some of this comes back to the fact that in 2019, the former Prime Minister, 2 Prime Ministers ago or whatever, Boris Johnson said he had an oven-ready deal. He had nothing of the sort. And we're still today, you know, grappling with this conundrum, really. But I hope that progress now has finally been made and maybe we can stop talking about the Northern Ireland Protocol and start talking about the everyday issues of concern for people both in Northern Ireland and throughout the UK on the cost of living, how to grow our economy and how to improve our public services like our schools and hospitals. OK,
I know the boss has got another speech today. He's out and about talking a lot at the moment, isn't he? How do you make talking about the G7 sexy to voters who you need to win back?
So last Thursday, Keir set out the missions that would guide the government if he became Prime Minister. And the first of those missions is to grow our economy, to have the highest sustained growth in the G7. Because the truth is, over the last decade, we've been falling behind our neighbours and our competitors in the growth league tables. It doesn't have to be that way. I am really ambitious for Britain. I know that we've got huge strengths, but at the moment, we're not seizing the opportunities that are out there. So I want strong growth, but I want us to be catching up and excelling against our neighbours and competitors. I think that's what most people in Britain want. They want a successful, dynamic economy, and they want to be competitive with France and Germany, the US and Italy and Japan and the other countries in the G7. And today, we're setting out some of the policies that will help us to get there. And things like our Green Prosperity Plan, so we compete in the industries of the future. Our plans to make Britain the best place to start and grow a business. Some of the reforms that we want to see to the Brexit deal to make it easier for British businesses to trade and to get investment into the UK. Reform to business rates to help our high streets to thrive. But the key thing about the mission that we're setting out today on the economy is that this is about good jobs and productivity growth in all parts of the country. It's not good enough, if it ever was, just to have growth in some industries and some parts of the UK. This has got to be growth and prosperity that's felt by ordinary families and businesses right across the United Kingdom.
In the meantime, people can't keep their houses warm. What will you say to your opposite number, the Chancellor, when it comes to the budget and whether or not he should keep the position that the government presently have adopted to help people with their bills in place?
Bills should not be going up in April. The cost of living crisis is still very real for people. It's people's number one concern at the moment. And yet, under the government plans, bills will go up to £3,000 on average from April. But we've set out how we can keep those bills at an average of £2,500. Still very high, but it means no further increase. And we would do that by properly taxing the windfall profits, the windfalls of war that the big energy companies have made, and redirect that money to help families, to help pensioners, and also to help businesses with their energy bills. And that's the difference that a Labour government would make.